All right, guys, welcome. This is 420 Spiritual Living. I am your host, Joan of Angels. This is a time that is so special to so many of you, 420, a time to kind of deep dive, take a deep breath, get kind of used to what is going on, and just having a moment outside of time. So 420 Spiritual Living, guys, is that moment outside of time where you can breathe, you can smoke, you can allow your consciousness to just drift into the other dimension. So hi, guys. It is so nice to see you. It just makes my happiness grow and grow and grow. If you are new to me, guys, I am Joan of Angels. I'm the host of 420 Spiritual Living. This is my gallery and my sanctuary in the Desert Heart Sanctuary of Joan of Angels, which is, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is one of the pot capitals of California, possibly even the United States, in Coachella Valley. But I am your host, Joan of Angels, and my life's work is really about helping all of us remember who we are, why we're here, that big picture of life, that grand picture. And I love to do that by opening up our consciousness to new things, better things, things that we may not even think about in our normal day-to-day life. So if you're new to the page, like the page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, help me grow that. And if you're on Facebook, I think that's a miracle, actually. I wasn't able to post it to Facebook. So if you can copy and share and post it to your pages, or even to my Joan of Angels page or 420 Spiritual Living page, I'd be so honored. All right. So, we're going to start talking about, well, why am I doing this show, guys? I am doing this show because I do truly believe from the bottom of my heart that plant medicine is a gift from the gods to humanity for us to expand not just our awareness of ourselves and the world around us, but also to expand our own consciousness, our mind, be able to communicate to all the natural world. So having this show for me is a wonderful opportunity to meet all of you and to bring together a little community. So if you're new to the tribe, come and say hi and make a comment or two so we can see you're here and where you are from, because we're making a beautiful collective and collaboration. So at 420, people usually do something significant like this. So perhaps you are smoking something like this. I don't know. But 420 is a time to magically stop what you're doing. So this is my prototype. And I just think it's so beautiful that when I hold it up here, it is a symbol so that you in Georgia know what I'm doing also. So we're here in Coachella Valley, California. Our guest is going to be from New Zealand. All right, so we open up our show by doing a little deep dive. So I love these bowls. This is a bowl from Tibet. It is a crown chakra bowl. What is the crown chakra but connects you to your higher self? So taking a deep breath in. Whew, and letting it all out. And once again, taking a deep breath in. And letting it all out. Good Mother, Father, God, we ask just now that we be filled, surrounded, and protected with light. We ask that our guides, our angels, the ascended masters, our departed loved ones, we ask that the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the water kingdom, the bug kingdom, the bird kingdom, the trees, all of the sentient beings on this planet be with us now, because we are going to have an exceptional experience today in just tuning in to all of these natural realms and talking about how the consciousness of cannabis can allow us, and not just cannabis, the consciousness of plants, which are the gift from the gods, can allow us to do that. So at this time, for those of you who have not met Avon, Avon is right here. He is our our galactical being, our galactical friend. Very grateful for his presence. He is a tall white. And yes, he does say that the plant medicine allows us to connect in a deeper way. So besides getting physically well, you can also heal your body. And I'm a chiropractor by trade, guys. I go by the name of Dr. Joan Hangarter. So when I talk about plant medicine being able to heal your body in a very natural way from the inside out and turn on your body's own immune, your own innate, your own connection with intelligence, it is that powerful a plant. So really excited to share all that. So one of my commitments is to give you some of the news of the day. And I have two things to share with you. Number one, here in the United States, federal bill to decriminalize all drugs introduced in our House, Congress, and the House. And I think that's amazing, considering I started my life in the late 60s, when even went and heard some of the great LSD speakers, Richard Alpert, and dived into LSD until it was made illegal. And that was in the late 60s. So to think that now they are going to authorize it and allow plant medicine in the world here is really good. They should never have made it illegal, by the way, but that is a whole different subject. And then of concern that I want to share with all of you is this subject of, does cannabis interact with a COVID shot now, or with the vaccine? And I do want to say the following. There has been studies that have come out that, number one, show that cannabis users have a built-up immunity with COVID. Does that mean you're 100% safe? Of course not. But it does mean that cannabis can improve your immune system. And they have done research directly on cannabis and COVID. Does it interact with the COVID shot? Well, they say no. So I want all of you to know that they do not feel that cannabis will interrupt your vaccine experience. So it's not detrimental either before and after. And frankly, if I was going to do the vaccine, I would probably have to smoke before I did it. Okay. So good news. And I just wanted to reassure your hearts. Okay. Now, I pulled a card also in keeping with the shamanic nature of 420 spiritual living. I love pulling a card for everyone. And this card is from the deck, the Earth Warriors. And it's called Inkagama, in honor of the ancient king. Why am I showing you the book? So Lion. Lion is brave, fearless, and bold. So when we pull this card of brave, fearless, and bold, it's also the card of community. The lion has a pride. They have their collective. And what are we growing here with 420 Spiritual Living but a community? Even though I wasn't able to get on Facebook at all today, so I don't see my Facebook friends. Okay. So also we want to honor that place inside of us that is strong, is a leader, says, yes, this is my time. And the other impetus for this show has to do with the fact that we are in very strange times. And yes, even though they've opened it up, sort of, there's still some other things that are going on. So this is not just a time of stepping into your leadership and power. It is a time of remembering who you are and why you're here and what your gifts are. Time to cultivate your intuitive gifts of knowingness. So the lion is with us, and I just love that. So I feel his presence. All right. So I will want to share a little bit with all of you about my guest. He reached out to me a few weeks ago, right after I started. In fact, it was when I had actually one of my disastrous shows, just saying. But 420 Magic with shaman Glenn Willard will help release the confines of your mind and expand us into the natural world. experience a deeper resonance with the trees, the plants, the water, the oceans, the insects, the birds, and the animal kingdoms. And according to Glenn, all of life is in fact more accessible when we remove the veils to expanded consciousness. So this magic is not a place you can go to because you're already there. And Glenn says the trick is to realize that it is all around us. It's in our smile, it's in the air. And Glenn has assured us that his way of using cannabis is to allow that connection to deepen. So I want everyone to say hi to Glenn. Hi, Glenn.
Hello. I'm here. Yeah. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
at least it's not the middle of the night where you are. Tell us where you're from and
I'm
how.
originally from the States. I am an American, but I've been living in New Zealand now for about 25 years now. So I've been here quite a while, and I'm finally adapting to the place. It's taken a long time. It took me 10 years to adjust to the weather, for one thing.
Okay.
But
What's the
we're
weather?
always
What is the weather?
well. We're in a very mild area here. It does snow in parts of New Zealand. We're at a latitude. I'm on the North Island. There are two main islands, and it doesn't snow. We had a snow about 5 years ago, I think it was, and the previous one to that was in 1922. So that gives you an idea of how often it snows here.
How beautiful your climate is. Well, we are in a heat wave here. Summer hit with a bang, and it was like 117. So,
Wow.
yeah. So let's hope that the electric lasts these days here in the States. Electric's been a little iffy. But let's talk a little bit then. It seems to me when I think of New Zealand that it's so big, expansive, and that it's easy to get like outdoors in the natural world. Is that sort of an assumption, or is
Well, New Zealand is, we have a massive, I think we're in land area as big as California, Oregon, and Washington, with 4 million people, 4.5 million people. That's very sparse, very sparse.
What is the state of cannabis in your country?
Illegal. And
Well, it's
heavy.
illegal. Like, is it?
Not even. Well, I mean, there are there's certain latitudes for medical marijuana, so that's opening up more and more, which is a good sign. It's we're making inroads. We recently had an election, and that was one of the side things we voted on, was the legalization of personal use. And personally, I kind of doubt the actual vote, if it was manipulated or not, so to speak.
Oh, free and fair elections, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure that it was totally up and up.
It is really tragic because the indigenous tribes, even in New Zealand, used all sorts of plant medicine in their daily life, in their physical life, in their healing, and in all their ceremonies. It's kind of criminal to deprive people of something that was such a source of substance to them.
Absolutely, yeah. We have a book this thick. Oh, there it is. On New Zealand plant medicines, and it's just it's quite amazing, actually. I haven't delved into, we have a few growing on our property. We've got 2.5 acres here, and one of them is, in fact, the main one is kawa kawa, and it's a cure-all for so many things. You can boil it up into a tea. It can be a poultice.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a kind of a cure-all for so many different things. And,
isn't that interesting?
That really good detox too.
The plant world provides so much
Oh yeah,
power, so much healing for us. And the government seems to try to make these things illegal. And
yeah,
so there's something going on here with the FDA that they want to ban something like 234 herbs, tinctures, and homeopathic remedies that have been used for, of course, thousands of years.
yeah.
So they
Yeah,
somehow,
no, they're trying to keep control of us and keep the money flowing into certain channels, and it's really sad. But more and more
yeah.
people are awakening to their own inner light through plants and other means, and meditation especially. And yeah,
So
so
so let's talk about how cannabis has shifted your consciousness. Well, tell us about the natural shaman first. Like, what do you
well,
do? Who's the natural
yeah,
shaman?
I don't really call myself a shaman. I say that I use shamanic practices, but I think some people are offended that a white man would call
Welcome.
himself a shaman. Sorry?
I was trying to do my Instagram at the same time. That's what
Oh,
you
I
heard.
see.
Okay, we're
Anyway,
not going to do that.
yeah, like I say, I don't call myself a shaman, but I do shamanic practices. I've done workshops on talking about the medicine wheel, the flower of life, crystals, healing, and um probably a couple other things. But anyway, yeah, I my website is called naturalshaman.com, but we are all shamans. We are all responsible for ourselves. And if we use what they would call expanded consciousness or our own inner light being, in that sense, we are all shamans. So, but it triggers some people if I call myself that, so I don't.
Interesting, interesting. Well, just
Yeah,
so remember, I did pull the card, the lion, and you're
yeah,
part of the tribe today, and that is really stepping into and claiming our leadership. So,
yeah.
what is, the truth is what is a shaman? But isn't a shaman someone who can go into the other supernatural worlds?
Right, exactly. And what a shaman's job is to go into the spirit world and bring back information for those in his family, community, tribe, nation, whatever. And but anyway, backing up just a little bit, you pulled the card with a lion on it, and the lion happens to be one of our guides here that we've connected with. We don't have his true name, but we just for sake of convenience, we refer to him as Leo, and he is a guardian, guardian of the gods. And we got this information from a man named James Gilliland. I don't know if
Uh-huh.
you've heard of him.
I do. In
Yeah.
fact, I read them every day.
Excellent. Yeah, he's East City Ranch in Washington State.
I've always
And
wanted to go up there, guys. If you don't know, James has a ranch up north and definitely tracks extraterrestrials and UFOs, and has events there all the time and many
yes,
sightings. Right. So, did you study up there, Glenn, with him?
yeah, I did. I got a transpersonal healing from James. This was
Uh
back in
huh.
2018,
Right.
and yeah, it was incredible. So he introduced us to some of our higher guides that we weren't even aware of at the time, and now we have regular contact with them.
So, did
So
you do this in person with? Is that what opened
yes,
up gifts? Then,
yes.
oh, so
No, they were starting to open already. He just opened another, like going up another level, so to speak.
uh huh.
'Cause we're all on our journey upwards, and he just kind of um, showed us the elevator door, I think.
And so that's so interesting. I've been looking at that
Yeah,
elevator myself recently.
yeah. I think, and at the beginning of your show, you showed this little statuette of you call them Ivan.
Avon is his name. He's my extraterrestrial. He is
Yep,
a he's a tall white
yep. I've
Zeta.
seen a tall white in our barn. I've seen a tall white. No, it's just the kind of the etheric. I just saw a being, all made of just pure light, standing
Mm-hmm.
there. And there was no verbal communication, but I recognized him as a tall white.
Do you know, I had the same experience, and I was on plant medicine. I was on something called sassafras and canna, which are heart medicines. And it was the
Yeah.
end of the evening. They're not known to be hallucinogenics, but it was the end of the evening. And for me, I guess I was in a different vibrational frequency. And I was outside, and the base is right up here. And I do believe they're in the mountains back there. I look up, and there he is. And he's with two other beings, and his tall white, his head just like this. And they gave me the sense that they had hopped down on a saucer, like a saucer taxi, okay, because
Yeah.
I was in a different vibrational frequency from the plant medicine.
Yep.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. I think you're right. For me, the what it does for me is it kind of opens a door, uh, and it allows me to access, to go way beyond. I use, as we've talked before, I use tiny amounts. I microdose, and it's becoming less and less what I use, um, and very infrequent. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, for me, let's see. I'll give you a brief history. I smoked heavy for about 5 years back in my 20s, and I gave it up for decades. And then a few years ago, I started up again, but like I say, tiny amounts and infrequent. Anyway, for me, when I first got back into it, um, it allowed me to release the own DMT that we produce with our pineal gland. And it was like having an acid trip for me. I saw colors, geometric shapes, um, not really so much, I guess, bordering on hallucinations, but it's just such a mind boggling high. It was way beyond what the cannabis could do by itself. So I think it was an internal release of the DMT from my pituitary. So, or pineal, it's one of those two, pineal or pituitary.
Right. And so that was without even actually taking the CMT, right?
Yeah, no, I did not take any DMT. We all produce it naturally in our brains,
So
but
the cannabis can release that is what you're
yes,
saying.
it opened the door. Yes. So anyway, yeah, and that was not that seeing the tall white was not actually the first time. I've seen some other beings too. I saw a group of 5 of them on a beach one time, and they were only about 5 feet tall, and also in light being forms. I didn't see their physical beings. I saw their light being forms.
Meaning with your eyes closed, you saw it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is just as powerful, by the way, guys. You don't have to see them with your open eyes to have that experience. So I've had that experience too. I moved to Mexico just to study extraterrestrials, and I would have dreams all the time about ETs. Do you get any messages from them, from why they're here?
Not really. I think when you open up to spirit world, it doesn't matter where they're from, because we ourselves are not indigenous to Earth. We're Pleiadian, Arcturian, Sirian, Lyrian, uh,
Right.
Andromedan, on and on. And we've been to all these places because we are eternal beings. And so when we confine ourselves, oh, I'm human, that's only one label we can put on ourselves.
Right. So limiting, so limiting. It's just one of me. But that's what I love about, particularly in there's different kinds of plant medicine. We're going to be discussing them on the show. I have some people coming on. We're going to be even talking about addiction recovery. But what I like about cannabis in particular is that it's really simple and easy. And that, as you're saying, it doesn't take a lot to increase your awareness. And I kind of think of it as opening a curtain. For me, it's like opening a curtain.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it's a wonderful thing that made available to us. And even like one of the other plant medicines is actually tobacco. Unfortunately, it's so overused. I mean, I was addicted to tobacco for 28 years. I was a heavy smoker. And I finally got over that. I haven't smoked in 30 years now, tobacco. But in fact, I've been recently thinking of just getting a little pinch and trying it and to see where it would take me, because it would be a completely different experience for me now, I'm sure. And it's, in fact, I wrote a little article. It's in my website. It's called The Little Smoke, and it's about tobacco and about overcoming the addiction to tobacco.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so I'm considering exploring that again, but as a sacred herb, not as, taking up smoking again by any means.
Well, see, that's the difference. What you're smoking from the manufacturers is not the same tobacco as
Absolutely.
it's not the same. So that, for instance, if pharmaceutical companies and the tobacco companies get a hold of cannabis in this country, it's going to be so diluted, depotentized, and kind of chemicalized.
They're gonna make the excuse, oh, we need to make it preserve longer, give it a longer shelf life, and
right now it's going to be
who knows what else? Yeah, it's going to get ridiculous.
So you're saying, and I know this is true, a shaman, that I know several shamans that use tobacco, especially after the plant medicine ceremonies, and they use it. I'm thinking a little touch of pure tobacco, indigenous tobacco, would be an interesting experiment for you.
Yeah.
And I don't even know much about the properties of tobacco, in terms of smoking it.
Yeah, well, in the medicine wheel, there are four main directions, the cardinal directions, and there are four main herbs. You have tobacco, cedar, sage, and sweetgrass are the main ones used in North America. Mm-hmm. And of course, it varies throughout the world because of what grows in particular areas. But for North America, those are the four main ones. And like cedar being one of them, and I didn't come to the realization how important it is. Like our house is surrounded on three sides by a cedar hedge, which offers a great amount of protection.
A protection. Cedar is definitely protection.
Yeah.
And
another sacred herb is sage. And, that's white sage especially is used for clearing spaces of negative energies and ETs and whatnot. And I lived many years in Nevada, which it has, I think that's all we grow there is sage. About 100 different varieties.
Yeah, sage is a very powerful cleanser. So in which direction is tobacco?
Oh, I'd have to look that up. I did a medicine wheel talk.
Yeah,
I couldn't actually tell you.
I'll look it up.
That's something the viewers can research for themselves.
See, that was so terrible of me to throw that question out, Tim. Okay, I want you to tell us about your book. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And let me see if I can add your book to the stream right here too.
I'll just hold it up.
I know you can do that. You can also.
The Water Chronicles is the name of the book, and that's me on the back. I'm swimming on the Great Barrier Reef here.
Got it.
Oh yeah, thank you. Very good.
So we have the book right there. Tell us about the book.
Okay, it started out as I just wrote a little short story about an adventure I had in Donner Lake in the Sierras, California, near right where Reno is, Lake Tahoe, that area. And you
Uh-huh.
see,
Oh, yeah, I know
I
that
lived
area.
up there. I lived up there for a couple of years, and I had a kind of a mystical experience at Donner Lake, and that was the first story, and it is the first story in the book. But what happened, I just continued writing, and I wrote 114 more stories. So some of them are only a paragraph or two, some of them are several pages. And yeah, it's just a whole collection of water stories. They're all related to water. And as far as myself, my what do you call it? Astrological sign. I am a Earth sign, born in September. I'm a Virgo, which is an Earth sign, and I've explored the element of Earth deeply. I had a crystal shop for many years,
That's right.
and
That's right.
I learned all about crystals. I couldn't tell you a thing about them anymore because it doesn't stay in my head. But I have a great appreciation for them. I was a crystal healer, color healer, sound, on and on. But anyway, um, then I started exploring water. I feel like I've explored that pretty much. I think I'm beginning the journey on exploring fire now as the next element. And I think the last one will be air. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Just beginning the fire element now.
I love it. I love it. And so, do you feel that it's
Oh yeah, the shirt is maybe shows a bit of fire here.
well? Tell us about your connection with the fire element.
Well, it's as you know, some dragons breathe fire, and I've looking into dragon energy now and having
Uh-huh.
some interesting experiences with that. So that's very fun. Oh, are you getting ready to show that little clip there?
Well, I wasn't going to be, but trying to manage it all kind of gets it. Yeah. So, guys, before I do this, I want you to know that in addition to that great book, and I guess these are new books you're writing, right, about the different elements then.
I haven't been writing in a while. I only write a blog now and then, and that's on my website. But I might have a book cooking in the back of my mind, so you never know.
You do well. Okay, so I just want you to know the lion is really coming out today, and the lion says we should all be roaring. Roar, R-O-A-R. It doesn't sound right, roaring, but roar with, when you've been given these gifts, Glenn, we all need to hear the answers. Okay, that's my little thing about that. So Glenn has also done a movie. And so I have a little bit, the trailer is long, but I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the trailer. So show us this. Stick it up.
Okay, this is the two sides of oneness.
Oop. Wait. Let me get you back up here.
There it is. And I interviewed 20 men, and this is part one, and I've never done part two, unfortunately. But part one was to be the men, and I was going to put part two, the women, but never got there. Anyway, so this she's about to show a clip of one of the little funny parts, and I introduce a lot of comedy in it just to make it a bit more entertaining, because we can't take life too seriously, or especially take ourselves too seriously. So enjoy the little clip here.
Yeah, so we're going to show this, guys. Have fun with this. Really cute, Glenn. I love it. Oh, wait, I got to do more work with this right there.
Men's growth and awareness of nature. It is made by men, for men, and features men. This documentary is about growth, nature awareness, and meditation. It was made for men and cut. This documentary is about growth, meditation, and nature awareness. It was made possible by women and men who are interested in the evolution of consciousness. In saying that, it should be led by men because it.
Yeah, I think men still, on average, still see that as, that's something that women would do. They're too separated, they're too staunch, if you like, to allow themselves to actually open up, to actually come into their divinity.
Do you think women are more spiritual than men?
No, not necessarily.
I think they approach it differently. And so I think men's and women's psyches are definitely different. I think women can network and communicate and talk about things, and I think that's one of the very basic things about women's psyche is if they have an issue or something they want to talk about, then they will talk about it. They'll talk about all different angles, and they will say everything there is to be said about it. Whereas men, sometimes, for example, an event has happened in a man's life, and he sees one of his mates, and his mate will go, "God, bugger me, eh?" And he goes, "Yep." And that's the end of the conversation.
All right. All right. I love that. I love your sense of humor in this. Okay, Glenn. That introduction really caught my attention.
Thank you. Yeah, it was fun doing that. And as you saw the date on there, that was actually quite a while ago. That came out in 2010. It actually took me 2 years to do that. I did all the interviews, all the editing, and it's just a long task. But I was working full time at the same time, so I can give myself a break on how long it took. I guess.
That's right. We may be shamanic, we may have all these skills, but we live in a human body.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to talk about is we can get to all these expanded places, but we still have to live on Earth. We still have to vacuum, do the dishes, walk the dog, whatever. And that grounds us. And I think it's very important to find a balance between the two worlds. And then they're not separate worlds. We need to incorporate that higher awareness into our everyday life. So anyway.
I know, I agree. And that's another reason of just taking this hour for 420 is just about creating more of a sacred awareness. We have a really interesting comment here from Kelly. So she's building a little village in her backyard. Started with a wigwam. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that. Wow, cool.
Right?
That's awesome.
What do we have to say to Kelly? I think that's a beautiful thing to be able to work with your own indigenous powers that come through when we start to live in accordance with our ancestry. Back talking about ancestry, one of the things you mentioned was past lives and Akashic records. So how do you find cannabis helps you do that or allows you to explore more of that?
You don't really need cannabis to do that. A simple meditation is enough. Well, maybe not so simple because so many people are struggling just to meditate. I mean, but you can access the Akash through meditation. And I learned how to do that, maybe 20 years ago, but didn't do much with it. And I kind of relearned it again recently because I wanted to find out some more information. And what we're here, one of our main tasks is to learn who we really are. And we're all on individual as well as a collective journey to do that. And I think we all need more inner explorations of self. And cannabis can be a tool for that, but overriding all of it is, I think, it's meditation, just to get silent, go within. And if plant medicines help, so be it. But they're not the end all, but they open doors. They can open big doors. You have to be ready for those doors because we need to let go of certain things. When we open doors, others close, and we want them closed.
Right, right. No, there's lots of things that can happen if you're not prepared, not ready. You can open up doors to entities that you don't want to see, or to
Yeah.
memories that you're not ready to deal with also. So I like to set an intention,
Yes.
and I think with microdosing, that's what you're saying you do. You're setting an intention with the cannabis. And
Yeah.
do you have a certain ritual that you do, or?
Well, I meditate before I light up. And I get myself into the right, because there have been times where I kind of rush into it and fire it up, and I'm still not in a high enough place. And I actually, one time in particular, I kind of had to battle the darkness and raise myself out of it because I opened the door a little too quickly and other things started coming in. That's probably the best way I can describe it.
So, okay, so that's interesting. So how did you recognize, for other people too, how did you recognize that something had come in?
Well, that's pretty evident. You don't, they
Well,
can't
you're
hide
sensitive.
themselves.
You're sensitive.
Yeah. You start having negative thoughts, self-doubt, paranoia, can't even say it, paranoia.
Right.
And anyway, yeah, no, it's easy to spot. And I just knew that I was at a not quite enough high vibrational level to open that door yet. So I kind of had to do it took me several minutes to rise up out of it and just recenter myself in the heart and let that grow, let that heart energy grow and rise above it.
I think that's really important, Glenn, because my early experiences with cannabis, and I know I hear this from a lot of people, were very negative. And cannabis exacerbated my self-hate, my self-criticism, my introspection that was designed to torpedo yourself, is the way I used to experience it. And so what you're saying, that those feelings can still come on, but when you know that they're just like maybe an entity had come in or a door had opened, and it's not you.
Yeah, but we're all energy, and as you know, energy comes in waves. And sometimes if you're at a low peak and the timing, you can have a bad day any day. But
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. We have to honor our power within us. So I really like how you said that when those times may happen for you, you work to get that that's not you. That's just,
Exactly.
This aspect. This is not the statement about you. And it's not even real, by the way.
Well, it is real and it isn't, but we can react to things at a higher level. I mean, it's all real. I mean, even the dark side, to an extent, is real. But I think a lot of it is on the wrong path.
Well, I get it too. The dark side is, and I feel like we're in a spiritual warfare right now. Okay, so whatever we can do to raise our own frequency and be aware, you could go out to the supermarket and come home with entities if you're not careful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Especially nowadays with people so freaked, about every aspect. God forbid you should clear your throat in a market. The whole
Yeah.
I sneezed once in Target, and it was mortifying because it was like the store stopped, and right. And talk about energy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a beautiful comment from Dawn. Can you feel peace? Not at a vibrational point, I believe I'm growing, but no, I'm not at my highest. We can kind of address it. Life is a growing experience.
Yeah, yeah, and we're all coping with massive amounts of change on the planet now. It's so much that it's creating chaos for some people.
Yes, he's talking about the high vibration here.
Yeah.
It is creating chaos. Let's address that. I really feel like the lion came in to remind people we are powerful. We all have a destiny. Just because this thing came and wiped out whatever path you thought you were on, that's okay, because that's in alignment. Your guides already knew before you got here that this was going to happen in 2020.
Yeah, no, it's actually part of the Great Awakening.
Right.
This allowed people to isolate, which is what we need to do to go within. And that's why one of the reasons that I have to be totally alone when I do occasionally partake. So I have to get out in nature and literally sometimes miles from anyone else, which is fortunately easy to do here in New Zealand because we have such a low population. And we live out in the country. We're 20 miles from the nearest town. And so it's quite pleasant to be here. And we have I'd love to describe our property a little bit. We have 2.5 acres. I built a medicine wheel. We have a large pyramid, several ponds, an orchard. We're putting in a labyrinth, a couple other features to enable people to meditate. We haven't opened to the public, but we're about to.
I was going to ask you, okay, so you're going to hold meditations there, labyrinth,
I've done workshops here. Donna's about to do a talk next week here about Atlantis. And that'll be fun.
Pop in so we can see her for a second. If she wants to come on in. She's going to talk about Atlantis.
Yeah, she's on her way. She can hear us.
Is this online, her workshop?
Sorry, what?
Is her workshop online?
We're going to film it.
We could. I don't know. We're inviting people over. You have to.
Come here. Cool.
Get in
camera.
There she is.
Hello. Hi,
Okay,
come here.
You have to
well, no, you're not.
Yes.
You got to face in.
Yeah,
All
right,
right.
yes.
Welcome. So you're doing an event on Atlantis. Now you don't use cannabis, right? I don't think.
No. It is historic, and because of not a rule following of my upbringing, but a little detail from my upbringing, makes me avoid almost any kind of drug.
She's never smoked. She's never drank.
Nope, none. So that just happens occasionally, and I know that, but I have complete respect in particular for the healing properties of almost all the native medicinals, and we do use some of them here.
Yeah.
We're thinking about filming the Atlantis one, and we might put it up on Facebook.
I want to hear it. I want to hear what you have to say about Atlantis.
Yeah, this is an encore performance. She's done it already.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, she's done several other
talks.
There's been 3 of them.
Let me post your Facebook. What is your Facebook page then? Where can people find you on Facebook if you post it?
Interesting. These postings will be found on New Plymouth Theosophical Society. That's who the talks are done for. They're not on my homepage.
Okay, got it.
But I'd be happy. They'll be there. The new one will be there soon.
Okay, and tell. So I had accidentally shut the sound off. Okay, I'm a one-woman show here. What? Can you repeat the page again?
The page is New Plymouth, which is the city, Theosophical Society.
Good thing I know how to spell that.
And
that's on Facebook, right?
They've got a Facebook page, and that's where they're loaded to.
Perfect. Thank you so much, beautiful. I can't wait. I want to see it. And if you can send me a link to it, I can watch it and I can share it out also.
Oh, fantastic. That would be good. Thank you. See you.
Good. Because I'm sure that they must have used plant medicine in Atlantis and Lemuria. What do you think, Glenn?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
Crystal, everything else. Yeah.
there's so much evidence in the ancient world of especially they have found the remnants of DMT powder on some of those ancient statues, the Sumerian statues.
Wow.
So, yeah, right? Isn't it? Yes, to know that they use, because plant medicine was used to in the Renaissance of society and in the rise of certain societies, and when they withdrew plant medicine, the societies became very restrictive.
Yeah.
So you know,
there are certain factions that want to repress people, that keep them down because too hard to control. And
you know, I saw something really funny on brainwashing. Okay, and it had to do with just some of that horrible stuff that goes on. And in there was this paragraph that said that subjects who were in their brainwashing program, their MK Ultra, were not allowed to go near cannabis because cannabis broke their programming.
Yeah.
It's in the book I have. I still have the book. Cannabis breaks programming.
Yeah. That's that brings up the idea of what happened in Vietnam during the war there. America actually lost that war. They don't come out and say that, but that's what happened. We lost the war. And part of that was they allowed the American soldiers over there to smoke a lot of cannabis there. And
Yes, they did.
who wants to shoot anybody when you're high? You know.
So, you know, I often wondered, okay, just so you know, I often wondered about that, because what's the purpose of our military is to learn to fight and kill. And yes, if cannabis opens up your awareness, then you're going to actually feel your enemy's heartbeat and you can feel their consciousness. Yeah. So that's almost as if on a higher level. That's very challenging. What a way to dive in, but it is true. And I'm so glad you mentioned it. You know, I work with a lot of people doing kind of working with our angels and our guides and tuning people into getting messages. And the big thing I hear from people who had served in the war was how, yes, cannabis saved their life, but actually so many people who came back alive felt that they were touched by the divine. An angel, a miracle, something that was out of the ordinary saved them.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, so many came back unprepared to deal with such a low level in society. They got no respect when they come back and just.
Right. No, and they haven't to this day. You know, peace and love. That was my generation, but certain things have happened that are different. So Glenn, we're going to have to. Well, our time's almost up. But what else would you like people to know? We know how they can find you, the natural shaman. But what else would you like people to know?
That the power within them is so unlimited, and we're only just beginning to open those doors of self-empowerment. We are so restricted, controlled, taxed, made to think this, that, and the other. And we've been led a merry chase in distraction, that we're so distracted from exploring our own inner vistas that we need to get back in touch with ourselves. So slow down, take your time, don't get impatient. I mean, something I learned recently was, and I'm still learning, patience. Be patient with yourself and those around you. And I still get triggered by traffic or having to stand in line. But standing in line, I can just do nothing for a few minutes. Wow, cool. And doing nothing is actually a great thing.
Right.
There's some much needed personal time. So yeah, take your time and be good to yourself.
This was so wonderful, Glenn. I just so appreciate your wisdom. I appreciate that you reached out. You know, I just started the show a month ago. And so to get like a letter from you was just so endearing. So guys, feel free to write me or connect to me, or if you want to be on the show or know someone who you'd love to have on the show, reach out. But anyway, Glenn, good luck with your events next week. I want to see this. I definitely want to see this on Atlantis, and we'll have you back again when your
Thanks
next
for having me.
come out. Okay.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Oh my God. I so appreciate, look, the lion is about reaching out and saying yes. And you reached out. So have a blessed day. Thank you. Wow. That was just incredible to have Glenn here. I like his perspective. I like his sense of calm. And I certainly love that little video clip we saw. I hope that he does part 2. And then, oh wait, who's going to hit him if he talks about the women and the men? It's just really endearing. Anyway, guys, I adore all of you. Let me tell you what's up next week on the show. We have Swami and Nikki, and Swami is actually a brand of cannabis, and Swami is a guru. They grow up in Mendocino. They've been around since the hippie days. Have their own ranch, their own philosophy. They're on live on YouTube every week. They have quite a following. So you're going to enjoy listening to Swami and Nikki as we chat about spirituality and cannabis. We're going to also, coming up is going to be my dear friend Michelle on terpenes. You're going to love her. And then I'm going to do a few of these shows solo. I am going to talk to you about some of my philosophies about cannabis, the plant medicine, the spirit guides, how to heal your body from the inside out. And so that's part of the work that I'm committed to do, is to remind all of us that we have that power and that ability. And one of the ways I do it is I do what we call soul awakening sessions, and I do readings for people. In fact, on my Monday night live, Miracle Mondays, I do readings for people. I do about 5 or 7 readings. I used to do it all night, but so much to teach that goes beyond the readings. But I want to remind you of our card today. Okay, I want to remind you that you have that power within, that it is time to step into your leadership. You are here during these crazy times for a reason. It is not random. And so we ask your guide to ask you to really step into your highest potential. Step into that which are your special gifts and that which you came here to do. So I am your hostess, Joan of Angels, live in the Desert Heart Sanctuary, where we paint angels and we channel messages. We talk to the spirit guides of cannabis, and we talk to the extraterrestrial companions, Avon the Tall White. And wasn't that fun to talk to Glenn a little bit about extraterrestrials? So we're going to just play this for you one more time, and then we will be seeing you all next week. All right, guys, there you have it. Expand your consciousness, step outside of your limitations, remember who you are, and connect with the natural world. We will see you all next week. I'm Joan of Angels. Bye for now.